Every year our judges go out and they volunteer their time to speak to all of our high school students about making good choices and making good decisions. And this is everything from the different laws that are out there about how we treat one another to texting and driving and drinking and driving and things like that. And I appreciate them so much talking to our kids. Have they been to Vinemont yet?
The judges have not.
The judges have not, okay. So they'll rotate through all of our high schools. This is a slide talking about some of our partnerships with Wallace State. One of the things that I want to point out, let me see, right here. Last year, we had, of the students that took college courses through dual enrollment, through career tech, workforce development, scholarships at Wallace, we had over $425,000 worth of courses that our kids took that didn't cost them a dime. And that's almost $500,000, which is absolutely incredible. And a lot of that, you know, we're teaching these courses on our campuses, but we're also sending kids down there. The last sentence on this page right now, one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to introduce all of our kids to take a college course before they graduate high school. Research shows that everybody that takes one college course, they're 80% likely to take the second college course. So one of the things that we did this year, we started this past year, and this year we actually bused over 1,000 kids to Wallace to take this course. And with a partnership with them, it didn't cost our students anything. And they get a college course, or college credit for taking that course. And so they're really excited about that. And if nothing else, you know, we still have a lot of kids in Coleman County. Not that everybody has to go to college, I don't mean that at all, but we want to let our kids know if they want to go to college that they can be successful at that. And we have a lot of families in Coleman County that the students still don't know anybody in their immediate family that even went to college. And we want them to know that's an option if they decide to go that route. And so we're really excited about that. We have a program where, you may or may not know this, but we have a program where Wallace lets us borrow a building down there, and we have some of our CCBOE teachers that are down there on their campus, and we have kids that do dual enrollment, and they may use some of our teachers down at Wallace at the same time and then go take the required classes from Wallace. And so it's a little combination, but most of that program is ran by retired teachers that come back and work part-time in order to save money and so forth. But that's been very successful. They get scholarships to pay for all the fast-track to industry courses. So the courses that are not covered by the scholarship, they come over to our building and take those courses from our teachers. A couple of things that we're doing right now with all of our 7th and 8th grade students. All of our 8th graders get to participate in this program called We Build It Better. And the way I describe this to a lot of people is the skills that probably most of the people in here, your grandparents taught you this, or your parents taught you how to use a hammer, how to use a drill, how to measure stuff and things like that. Most of the generation now are not getting taught those things. So we have our 8th grade teachers teaching a program called We Build It Better, and I've got a slide, I'll show you this in just a second, but the students build things, they learn how to measure things, but they also have to learn how to market what they've made and have a game plan for that, how to use a 3D printer and so forth. Our 7th graders, we're teaching them how to use a drone and having a drone competition. We started that this past year. And one reason behind that, when I spoke to industry leaders, almost every industrial pathway out in society, there is a job that has to do with operating a drone. And right now, they cannot fill all those positions. They're desperately needing people that can operate a drone for their businesses. So I thought, what a better way to introduce drones to our students. And they have a unit about how to operate them, and then at the end of the year they have a competition at their school, and I think 2 teams from each school get to come to county competition and compete against one another. And then we're also expanding the drone program at our career center for the high schools, and hopefully that's going to lead to some of our high school students getting a certification in operating drones. So that maybe, you know, I envision these industries fighting over our students and having to pay them a lot of money to get to come to their industry to work. This is We Build It Better, and you can see the different kits that are taught with our 8th graders right here, where they have to invent a project, and they have to build the project, and they have to market the project, and it covers everything from electricity, fiber optics, and sensor circuits, coding, printing with a 3D printer, so forth. Our Career Center, and we have several representatives, and I think you all know the people that are here tonight are leaders, but I was having a conversation with Haynes Riddle today, and my expectation is for our Career Center to really be our flagship of Coleman County schools. We have so many industries here in Coleman County that our students can go to our Career Center, they can learn a trade. If they don't want to go to college, they can go straight to work and be very successful and make a really good living. In this picture, you'll see some of these engines. I don't remember what the net worth on those. Haynes, you may know off the top of your head what those 5 motors were worth. $50,000 or so, something like. And Mercedes donated these engines. They donated this SUV to our kids at the Career Center. We also have a car that's a Mercedes car. And it just breaks my heart because when they brought it and they drop it off with this brand new vehicle and they tell our kids to take it all apart and learn how to operate or how to work on them and put them back together and everything. And they really invest in our students at the Career Center. This picture here in the bottom left is at our Career Center, and that's our new nursing program that we've remodeled completely there. And we're really excited about that because I really believe it's second to none in Alabama as far as a facility for high school students to learn nursing. And it is set up, we have nursing, we have hospital beds and things set up out here, but we also have a classroom in there. And then this is set up as an operating room, and they're actually videoing, and we can put students in there, and they have to do what they know to do, and then teachers can be outside the room watching them on a monitor to see and instructing them to make sure they do it right. And we're really excited about that program. This year we've added, because we talked to the industry, we see where the jobs are at. So this year we added the lineman and a fiber optics program. And we're really excited about that program. It's one program in together. What really got my attention about that, how many people do any of y'all have Sprout right now? Like I do. Does anybody in here have Sprout? I am the only one. You have it, okay. All right, thank you, Ty. So we have a few people that have Sprout. Well, when I was talking to them, as you know, many people out in the county still do not have internet if you live very far out in the county. And I was one of them. We didn't have internet. We had a hotspot, the only way I could get internet at my house. But as I was talking to the Coleman Electric Co-op, every time that cable has to go down this road, they have to have somebody that knows how to splice fiber optics. And every cable has 144 fiber optics inside that one cable. And they make incredibly good money to sit there and splice that. And they can't find enough people that will do that. And so we're going to train our kids to be able to go into that industry and know how to do it and so forth. And the same thing with linemen. Just like we had a hurricane come through Florida just recently, just about anybody that wants to could go to Florida and work as a lineman that's trained, let me say that. If you have that skill set, they can go to Florida and work right now for as many hours as they want to work and make just about as much money as they possibly want to make. And so we're training our kids for those two areas, and hopefully we've had our first class this year, and hopefully they're going to continue to grow that program. Next year we're looking at, and we want to add 2 new programs next year. We want to add a cybersecurity program at our Career Center, and we want to add a teacher education program. We want to train our own kids to be teachers. One of the things that we want to do with that program, you know, I envision kids coming up there in 9th and 10th grade and getting the basics, and then in their 11th and 12th grade years, many of our students co-op out. I want these students to co-op out and go work in our schools as instructional aides, and really, if nothing else, learn if they really want to be a teacher or not. Some of the most important things as far as learning what you want to do, it's very important to learn what you don't want to do. And if we can get kids in there and they see they don't want to be a teacher before they go and spend $40,000 or $50,000 on a college education, that's just as important as learning what you do want to do. But so those two programs hopefully are going to come this next fall, and we're really excited about them. This is just a couple of pictures of before and after of some of the things that we're doing at the Career Center. If you're not familiar, we tried to pass the sales tax a couple of years ago, and we were going to build a new career tech facility. It didn't pass, so we're not going to just sit around and go, oh, well, what can we do next? So we're coming in and we're working program by program to upgrade that facility and make it as nice as we possibly can. One of the things that, when you think of the Career Center, if you go back 20 or 30 years ago, almost the mindset was if you can't make it in a high school, go to the Career Center and learn a trade. Well, that's not our society today. The people that are learning trades and going to work, they're making a whole lot more money than people with college degrees sometimes without having all the debt of a college degree. And so we're upgrading these facilities. I'm not going to read off all of this, but you can see a whole long list of some of the things that we're doing there right now. And I'll show you a few other pictures. This is our cosmetology department that we just remodeled up there. It's incredible, and you're welcome to visit up there sometime and see that. They're not hardly finished with it, but they showed me some pictures as they're finishing up on it. Another program that we're doing, another partnership is we partner with Coleman Electric Co-op and the Imagination Library to give books out to our young people. If you're not familiar with this program, if you know anybody that has a child under the age of 5, they can sign up for this program from birth to 5 years old, and they get a book at their grade level every month mailed to their house. And we're really excited about that. And the more books we can put in kids' hands, the better readers they're going to be, the more successful they're going to be. This program here is our pre-K program. If you have not visited any of our pre-Ks, you really need to do that. This past year, we were the #1 district in Alabama for the most growth in our preschool program. It's really exciting. I guess one of the biggest challenges with that is not fully funded from the State Department, and we wished it were. So we have to put some local money in there to match that to be able to have that program. But you can ask all of our kindergarten teachers and probably our first grade teachers who came through our preschool and who didn't come through our preschool, and they already know, just like our preschool that here is at Vinemont, they already know the routines, they already know about the lunchroom, and they already are learning behavior things and stuff like that. So when they get to kindergarten, they're ready to learn. And they're learning in preschool, but they're even more ready when they get to kindergarten. So we're excited about that program. Mental health is a very important thing, but it's a very hot topic right now in society. And I put this slide in there, and I'm not going to read all this to you, but I want you to be aware that we're addressing the mental health needs of our students in Coleman County. We have 2 different programs right now that scan the students' Google accounts, it scans their emails, it scans when they have our device, all of our students are one-to-one, when they have one of our devices and they may be on the internet at their house. But if they search something on the internet that's inappropriate or concerning, or maybe even about how to harm themselves or how to harm somebody else, it sends us a red flag, and we can respond immediately. And I'll tell you now, we've found several situations where a student was going to harm themselves or thinking of harming somebody else, and we were able to intervene with that before anybody was hurt. We have 4 social workers that are active every single day. They really serve as the bridge between our families and our school system. Just this past weekend, we had a family that lost their home. So our social workers stepped in, reached out to them, and connected them to different agencies that can get them clothing and a place to stay and things like that. Something that we've learned, and of course it sounds so simple, but as we're trying to raise our achievement, if a kid comes to school and they haven't eaten, or they didn't sleep somewhere last night, or they didn't have running water, it's really hard to concentrate on math and reading. So our social workers are all working on those basic needs for our students, and then that way our teachers can work on the curriculum and the instruction. A couple of things I will point out. This year we had Parkside designated as a program of distinction for the school counseling program, and we actually had the state counselor of the year, and our counseling coordinator of the year was from Coleman County this year too, this past year. You may have seen the signs, and you may have heard somebody talking about our family initiative that we're trying to get started. We're moving it out very slow. And all the schools are going to hear more and more about this, but we want to encourage family members and community members to be a part of this. When you think back what you did when you were in school, some of your greatest memories of things that you did, they're probably all connected to other kids, other people, other friends. And many of you probably have some friends that you were friends with in high school to this day. Well, and I've described that as being connected to one another. If a student feels connected, it's going to increase our attendance. It's going to decrease harmful behaviors, whether that be drugs or alcohol or negative sexual behaviors, or even violence, or even the threaten one another or hurting themselves if they feel that connection. So we're calling it our Families Initiative, and we're dividing every child and every adult that is connected to our school system. They're going to be connected to one of these 6 families. And the 6 families are these character traits right over here. And we're going to have a little bit of friendly competition between them. Already at the central office, we had a food drive between our families, and my family didn't win. I thought they were probably on a good pace to win until Ty back here went to Dollar General and bought all the shelves and everything off the shelves, and his family beat us. But all of that food was donated to Coleman Caring for Kids. So it was a fun thing, but it was divided up in our families, and we watch out for each other. And that's what we're going to try to do across our district. We're having, just this morning I met with assistant principals, and we have some conversations about the competitions they had with attendance and things like that. And it's, it's just enough competition to keep the kids interested, but it's not harmful competition. But at the same time, a lot of times peer accountability means even more than a principal or a teacher trying to get the kid to come. I think it was at Cold Springs Elementary they were sharing this morning. They were having an issue with unexcused absences. So this one particular family and the teacher that was over that family, they had it was 11 at the beginning of the month or something. So even the students were encouraging one another, hey, you haven't got your excuses turned in yet. I need you to get your excuses turned in so we can beat the other families and that kind of stuff. And so those are kind of the things that's going to happen. And then also over here, you're going to see some service organizations. Each one of our families is going to adopt one of these service organizations throughout this year. And it's going to be on a small scale, but across our district, we're going to be doing some things with at least these organizations. And some schools are going to be doing more like they always do. But I'm a firm believer that if we're serving other people, it really takes the focus off us feeling sorry for ourselves. And so we're going to work really hard at working with these service organizations that are listed over here. You're going to hear more about that. With that, with our Families Initiative, we have subscribed to a platform, I would say, called Wisdom Harbor. Many of our teachers and administrators that are in here today don't even know this yet, but they're going to each have a subscription to this website. And this website has they call them docs, and all of these different things down here that some of them have just science or history or just good character videos that they can embed in the different things that they do throughout their lessons. And it's a lot of good stuff. And families can actually get a subscription to this. So just like if they show something at school that day and the families want to dig a little deeper into it, you can get a subscription to this for I want to say it's like $20 a year or something. I mean, or maybe it might be $40 a year, but you can get in there and use this as well. And we hope that this will spread because there's a lot of great character traits taught through this platform, and we look forward to using that. One thing that a lot of people still don't know, and this is being videoed tonight, and it'll be on our website. We have ccboe.tv, but we also have our own channel on Roku and Fire TV and Apple TV. So if you have Roku TV, you can download our app. You can go on there. I guess one of the first things that we have listed on there was the county basketball tournament, I think. And so you can go in there, and all these are archived on there. You can watch the different events. We have the graduations on there. We also have a podcast that I've started doing where I'm interviewing some kids and different things. It's on there. And these community meetings will be on there as well. And I want to encourage you to check that out. Also, with that, we have an app. If you go to just your you can download an Apple app. It's just CCBOE, and you can actually watch these shows and things through that app as well. This is not all of them. I know I'm going to come to a school, and it may be this school that somebody points out that I don't have their school on here, but this is just a sampling of some of the championships that were won last year on the county level. And then here's one of the Vinemont Middle School, and here's the state championships that we won last year that I know of, and there could be other academic ones or something that I don't know of, but these are some of that we won last year. Often we might forget, I mean, we have such a large school system that we're really excited and celebrate our state championships. But this past year we had 3 state championships, and nearly every year we'll have anywhere from 1 to 3. If you're not familiar, and I did bring I had a stack of one page consolidated, our strategic plans consolidated down to 1 page, and I left them on my desk today, and I didn't bring them with us tonight. But we have a new strategic plan that we finished up earlier this school year, and it's going to be our guide, our compass for the next 5 years, and all the money that we spend and the decisions that we make will all be addressed toward that strategic plan, and that's going to be our guide for the next 5 years. We are in the middle, probably a little over the middle, of a project with Snyder that we're really excited about. They have gone through all of our campuses and changed out all the old lights and put in LED lights that are brighter, but at the same time, they burn a whole lot less energy, and they save us a lot of money, and we're expected to save millions of dollars on this. Here's an example of the before and after of some of our lights. As you can see, it creates a better learning environment. At the same time, it's going to save us a lot of money. Our electric bill every year is $2.5 million. So we're looking at saving half of that. That's what we're hoping. And these are some of that. We've changed out a lot of air conditioning units and things. One of the challenges at Parkside, they built that school over 20 years ago, and ever since they built the school, they put the wrong size HVAC system in it, so it doesn't run long enough to circulate the air out. And this is just one of the many problems that we've had across the school system. So it doesn't run long enough to circulate the air out, so mold would build up in there. So ever since I've been superintendent, we've had to run dehumidifiers and throughout every hall at Parkside just to keep the mold down. Just before I became superintendent, they let it get out of control, and it cost them almost $250,000 to come in and clean the whole school out and start fresh. Well, doing all that didn't upgrade anything at the facility, it just cleaned the mold out. So we've been able to keep the mold at bay, but one of the things that we've done through this, they were almost wore out anyway. We came in and we've got new HVAC system there with new controls on there. They have dehumidifiers built into the systems, so they're running much more efficient, and we're not having to worry about the mold out there either. Here's some other pictures of systems. This is a picture of a cooling tower, and some people may or may not know what this is, but I'll tell you this beast right here has been very inefficient, and it's kind of hopped along, but we never had the money to replace it. And and there was so much water being discharged. Well, you can see the picture down here where it grew some stuff. There was so much water being displaced from this that I had to repave the road, or the parking lot right there, because it wore out a big ditch. And we've been able to come in and replace that huge monster with a much more efficient system over here to the right. This, unless you're around the boilers, you really wouldn't fully understand this. How many of you as educators have been in a room that we had to run the radiators, and they say, and once it starts getting cool, we run a radiator all the way until spring? Well, and you can't really turn them down. It's just constant heat. And if you can imagine a boiler system that is maybe from me to you and like this wide, that we fill full of water and we have a continuous flame underneath it from early fall to late spring, and we're burning that constantly to keep that big tank of water hot, and it circulates through the system. This is our first place to do this, and we're really excited about it. So we replaced that huge tank of water to these smaller systems. It's very similar to like in your house if you were to put a tankless water heater in. So instead of having to run that flame and heat that water all the time, these run when we need hot water. So it moves us from 70% efficient to 95% efficient, and saves us a ton of money. These are some more pictures of the different lights. We changed all the lights inside and outside to LED. These are some of our larger projects. I know the people that are here tonight will notice this, see this one right here. We're putting a storefront on Vinemont Elementary's front right here to make it safer and help it look better. Unfortunately, when we bid the job out, it came back over budget. So we have to self-perform, and what that means, we'll subcontract it out ourselves, and we're going to be able to do it. And if they haven't started yet, and I'm not sure, have they removed the fence up there? Have they already done that? Okay, so they're getting started on that now, and you're going to start seeing some progress with that pretty soon. And these other places that have big projects going on, and I'm sure you're familiar with. And I won't read all these, but you can see I've got a couple of slides of just the projects that are going on right now, and we are doing stuff on every campus. If you haven't seen our playground at the Child Development Center, you need to be sure and go by there and see that. It's second to none. There's no doubt in my mind. It's really exciting. But I have a few things on here that we did this past summer. I'm changing floors out at Vinemont High School, Vinemont Elementary Library. So we have several things on here that's going on. Then I have another slide. These projects are going on right now as we speak, or they've already been completed. And I think these are going to be uploaded on the website as well if anybody wants to check them out there. Next areas to come, I've met with most of our band directors, and we're going to be upgrading or remodeling our band rooms. We're going to be working on our family and consumer science centers. I'm trying to get in the habit of saying family and consumer science. I've been calling them home ec. They're no longer home ec, but that's what this is, our ag centers. If you follow in the news where we just worked out a partnership with Coleman County Commission to start getting some of the money from the SSUT tax, we're going to be using some of those funds to add some resource officers and help our schools become more safe. We're adding science labs. We're going to be adding a new science lab here at Vinemont High School. We're really excited about that. Adding fencing and different things, safety measures. We are looking at, just 2 weeks ago, I met with the architect here at Vinemont Elementary. We've been blessed with Dr. Franey's help and some others that we've gotten grants for roofing over the last 6 years, and we've spent almost $10 million on roofs. And we lack about 2 roofs until we feel really good with all the roofs across our entire district. And that's absolutely incredible. And one of those roofs is right over here at Vinemont Elementary, the west wing over there. So we're gonna put a new roof on that, and then we're also gonna, they still have window air conditioning units over there, so we're gonna be changing those window units out to more efficient, and they run the boiler from the back of the school, it pipes the hot water all the way up to that building, and we're going to be changing that out, and we'll be getting them off the boiler as well. We just bid out a huge job at the Child Development Center for an HVAC upgrade, which is going to be very significant. We've already changed some of those out, but this next one it's going to be a little over $250,000 of HVAC work that's going to be done at the Child Development Center, and we're really excited about that as well. One of the things that we haven't announced to everybody is that we're going to be coming in and we're going to be air conditioning some of our middle school gymnasiums in the next thing. Before we take questions and any suggestions, and I definitely want to do that, I hope y'all came tonight with some suggestions how to make our school system better. I want to show you a couple other slides. I had this set up where it would just rotate. I think I added some stuff to it and I messed that up. But here is Hanceville High School Ag and Family Consumer Science plans. And you can come see these closer later if you want to. But this is an addition for Vinemont High School. Right now, this is the existing library. We're going to come in and add a corridor, and we're going to come in here and build a new library. And we're going to remodel this into a science lab with a couple of special education classrooms right here, and then storage space and workspace down there. We're excited about that. Here's a welding shop that we're adding at Holly Ponds relatively soon. Fairview Ag and Home Ec, or Family Consumer Science. This is an example of the multi-purpose facility that we're going to be building, and we want to work our way around the county with this. You can see it's just a very large building, and it's going to have air conditioning in there, and it's going to have restrooms with probably some office space in some of them. But this is a building that's about 80 feet by 120 feet. And it can be used for everything from band to archery to indoor football, whatever you want, baseball practice, whatever you want to put in there. But at the same time, we could use it, the elementary, if they want to have a big play, they could put chairs in there and they could host 600 people or more. And it's going to be a huge building that's going to be air conditioned that can be used for the whole community. We're excited about those. West Point is going to be the first one that we roll out, and then they'll gradually move their way around the county. These are just some pictures of things that they've done recently, different projects. All of our high school gyms are now air conditioned. Many of you have probably seen these areas right here. We've come back and we've added a second security level in most of our schools, nearly all of them now, so that parents or visitors can come to the office and get what they need or check a child out, but they can't have access straight to the classroom. And we still have a couple of schools that we've got to get those added. That's another one of the boilers that we replaced. It's a more efficient boiler. Some more of the entryways. Some bathrooms that we remodeled. I didn't put a picture in here. We just remodeled the foyer of the gym and changed those doors out. And still got a little work to do in there, don't we, Robin? Floor. We still need a floor. There's a picture. That's not the actual picture, but that's the layout that we had of the Child Development Center. This is a picture right here. These were all a whole wall of windows. We came in and changed those out to more efficient insulated, just 2 windows, and put a more efficient air conditioning unit in that. And this is some classroom space that we created. There's a before and after of what I was just talking about. All right, and that's the last slide. So now it's your turn to ask me questions or give suggestions. If you have suggestions on things that we can do to make our school system, any school or our school system better, I would love for you to share those with me now. Or any questions? Anything?
Can you elaborate a little bit farther on the character thing that we're trying to do?
Yes.
Because I've talked to several parents and some of them feel as though it's too much of a competition when we have a lot of that already. So if you could explain how that's going to bring them back together instead of...
Yeah, and we definitely don't want it to be more competition. We want it to be a way that they support one another. And the way, when I think about our Families Initiative, sometimes we'll have high school students that go and they read to the elementary students. Well, and I'm thinking because they have a jersey on and they look up to those kids that may be an athlete or a cheerleader or something like that. But what if they take that jersey off and they have the red shirt that's going to be our Respect family, and they're speaking to the group that's the Respect family. So they have the same kind of shirts on. One of the things that we struggle with here in Coleman County is we have a lot of students that are migrant, that change schools a lot. And if they go to a school and they have the family day or something that day where they're meeting in their different families, they're going to have a shirt that already matches some other kids at that school. So they would stay in their same family and they'd already have a shirt that matches some of those kids. And I just hope it'll build some connections across our schools more than what we're doing right now.
So will that rotate yearly, or how would that look?
They will stay in the same family. My plan is they'll stay in the same family for at least 4 years. And that way, if they come in the 9th grade and they're in this family, they'll stay in that family until they graduate, and same thing. And that's the plan. Okay. And it's several schools have done the houses, and I know Mr. Netherton did a really good job when he was at Holly Pond, and they had different groups, and they called them houses, and they did different things. So I don't know anybody that's tried to do it across an entire district, but so we're going into it really slow, and it's definitely not about all competition. It's more about being there for one another and connecting one another and helping everybody belong. I envision it just like we're in a lunchroom right now. If there's a young person in the lunchroom and they're eating by themselves, I would expect somebody from their family to go over and sit by them so nobody's alone. And it's going to be slow. And we are purposely moving very slow with it because we want it to last, and we don't want it to be something we just come in really fast and do something and then get away from it and not do it right. So hopefully it'll be something we'll see more and more about as we go. That's what I hope. Any other questions?
Well, speaking about families, I'm going to be in a double family.
Okay.
I have a kindergartner and a first grader.
Okay, great.
As a result of that, I have one that's in the loyalty and one that's in the resilience. So they're going to be getting a little bit of both.
Okay.
But I'm glad to know that you have a plan that's going to keep them steady. And I was very proud of my youngest grandson when he came home today. He says, Mom, there was a person there that said they didn't have cheese something or others whenever everybody else did. And I walked over and handed it to him.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going, way to go.
That's right.
Keep it up. When you see somebody in need, that's your job.
That's right.
Step up. And I'm very proud of them for that, and I'm glad to know that the school system itself is helping me to teach them this.
And we hope, and that's the thing with the Wisdom Harbor platform that I showed, that's going to grow as well. And there's things in there, like there may be a 1-minute video about grace, how to show grace to one another. And of course, people that go to church and things like that, that grace may have a different meaning for them, and they can share that with them at home or in their church or whatever they want to do. But grace in general is just being kind and giving somebody a second chance and things like that. So there's little videos in there that we're going to embed in some things that hopefully just build some character. The way I kind of rolled this out to some different groups that I've talked to is I think we'd all agree right now as a nation there's a lot of uncertainty going on. And I'll tell you, I believe if we can get everybody in our school system, including adults, because we have some adults that are going through a lot of painful and struggling times as well. But if we can get everybody that's connected to our school system to have a sense of belonging, and we're looking out for one another, and that can bleed over to our families, and which can bleed over to society in general, And we can kind of turn the curve with Coleman County, and then maybe it'll bleed over to other counties and make a difference in the state. I'm not real sure. I think it'd be kind of like taking a squirt gun and spraying it on a fire if we tried to go to Washington and fix all their issues right now. I don't think we'd be very successful at that. But I think if we can get everybody that lives in Coleman County, especially in Coleman County schools, to watch out for one another and to accept one another, I think we'd really accomplish some things. And I hope our families, you know, it's a great opportunity if they're part of the resilience, and as we start talking about these different traits, hopefully our families can just take it to the next level and spend time with those kids about what does that mean and find ways to even serve as a family, as the biological family, find ways to serve and to help one another and things like that. And that's what I'm hoping with that. Any other questions? Hey, you guys, how are y'all?
Great, how are you?
Doing good. Yes, ma'am.
I saw where your grandparent day was really a lot of pictures of the grandparents here, and they had a great time. Does Vinemont have an alumni association?
I don't know that.
Every year has a class president that I know of that takes care of each grade. You know, every year that's graduated as a class president takes care of reunions and such. I'm not sure about an alumni association.
Well, I went to school at Eva, and we have an alumni association, and we do projects for the school. And it seems to be a lot for the whole, you know, group of people coming in that went to school there, that have grandkids there. So it might be something good to start at each school, is try to get some people like those grandparents.
Yeah.
Into this school.
I agree, and I think some of our schools do. Some of our schools have a very strong one. Fairview, when their school burned, you know, it's been 15, 20 years ago now, when their school burned, their alumni association came in and contributed money to the rebuilding of the school and had made things a little bit nicer than what the school system could afford. They raised money and did things. So yeah, there are some that they're very active.
Money raising thing.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they also communicate with each other, like the death or the
Yeah.
announcements and things like that. I mean, I really enjoy it as far as being part of the alumni.
I agree. There's a good place for it. Any other questions?
That multicultural thing that you had a picture at West Point?
The multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right. It could be that
Will
too.
be one at every school?
That is our plan.
Okay.
And
I see it said turf, square feet of turf.
and not like artificial turf that's outside. It's going to be some artificial turf inside, but there will be an area for that. If they want to practice throwing a ball on it or running a football play or practicing band thing, it's going to be laid out into a section of that, but not all of it will be that. And they could actually put weights in one side of it if they wanted to, and it can be used for anything. And that's what we're selling. It's not just a sports facility. It's a K-12 facility for all of our students and all our community.
Are you going to try for another tax?
No, I'm not.
No?
I'm not. I don't have any. I shouldn't say no, I'm not. I have no intention to ask for that right now. One of the things that was really clear to me when we campaigned for that tax was everybody wanted us to tighten up our belt and make sure we're spending everything that we're spending the right way. And we really, during the pandemic, we went on a spending halt and we just kind of froze everything because we wasn't sure what the economy was going to do. And so for over 2 years, man, we pinched all the pennies that we could possibly pinch and tried to make sure we were doing everything. We've paid off some debt. We've refinanced some loans, and we've done things like that we can save money at doing. And now, we're reaping those rewards and getting to do some things now. But I don't have any, it's not on my radar to try to increase taxes.
Mr. Barnett?
Yes, ma'am.
Update us on the reading comprehension test. What's it going to be like?
Yes. Are you talking about the third grade or yeah. So they've delayed that. We have a literacy act that the legislators have delayed for 2 years. So not this year, but next year. If a child is in the 3rd grade and they're not on reading level, they will be held back. And there are exceptions to it. Some of them can do a portfolio and things like that, and you know, it's a little more detailed than just explaining now, but there's portfolios that they can do and be considered to move on. You can do summer school and take the test again and have a chance to move on. We did summer school this year, and most of our students that went through the summer school and retook that exam scored high enough that they would have gotten to move on. And so it's going to be based on our ACAP scores and things like that. This year we'll be adopting a new reading series in K through 5, a new textbook, and we don't know what that is yet. Last year we went through the process of looking at those things, and without getting into too much detail, there are 2 committees. There's a committee with the governor's office that looks at textbooks, and then there's one with the state Department of Education, and they both have to sign off on them. And it came down to they really only approved one, and they want us to vote on the best one to get. And that one that was approved, to be honest with you, had some inappropriate stuff that I just didn't think it was best for our kids. And so I stepped in at the last minute and said, we're going to wait a year. And at the state level, just shortly after that, they stepped in and said, well, we recommend everybody waiting a year too. And so we're waiting for that textbook list that's approved to roll back out. And once it's rolled out, we'll look at those and make a decision. And that'll be our curriculum that'll lead up to that test that the kids have to take as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, I will tell you something I don't have a slide for on there. If you're not familiar with this, on November the 8th, there is an election. And on there, it's going to be whether we go back to an elected superintendent or we stay appointed superintendent. And if you're not familiar with that, on the ballot, it actually is going to say, do you want to elect your superintendent for 4 years? Which is a little misleading because the next item says, do you want to move your revenue commissioner to a 6-year term? And it looks like you're moving from a 4 to a 6-year term, but what we currently do in Coleman County Schools is we elect a board, and that board hires the superintendent. That board can also fire the superintendent. And I'll tell you this, I'll answer any questions that y'all may have about that, but I'm not going to go in a whole lot of detail. More than anything, I've been trying to tell people that ask me about it, I don't want that to be about Shane Barnett, because Shane Barnett's not going to be the superintendent for the next 50 years. But we absolutely need the best superintendent that we can hire for the next 50 years. And I know we have some administrators in our school system. We have some here at Vinemont that are excellent administrators. And I would love for us, when my grandchildren are in Coleman County Schools, I would love for us to be able to hire the absolute best that we can hire. And if they go off the radar and they're doing things that we as a society don't approve of, we need to put pressure on our board members to fire them and hire another one. If we go back to elected, we won't have that luxury. If the most popular person of that time period, if they get elected, they're there for 4 years no matter what. And that concerns me. There's only 2 states in the United States right now that elect superintendents because they've done their best. And that's one reason that we changed over to appointed, is to try our best to get the politics out of it. And there needs to be a component of accountability, and that's our school board. And I tell people all the time, if anybody talks negative about our school board, they need to run for school board. And probably some of those school board members might give them some pointers on it or something. But I will say, if you elect a school board and they hire a superintendent, they don't have to make promises. If they were campaigning, they don't promise jobs or they don't do those kind of things. They can concentrate on doing what's best for kids. And I firmly believe that. In Alabama, there was 140 school districts, and there's only 36 of those that still elect their superintendent. Unfortunately, those 36, you're not going to find them in the top achieving school districts anywhere. If you'll look at some of the highest achieving school districts, they all hire their superintendents. Every city school system in Alabama hires their superintendent. They go out, they find the best one that they can get, and they pay them to come run their school system. So that is on the ballot in November the 8th to either go back to an elected or stay appointed. It doesn't say it like that. It says, do you want to elect your superintendent for 4 years? And if you say yes, then it'll go back to elected. If you say no, it'll stay appointed, and so forth. Any questions about that? Anyway.
We basically have to trust our board.
Well, you do, and I'll tell you this, if somebody doesn't trust their board, they need to get rid of them and elect a new board member. And, but it does give them a lot of flexibility because I want our school system to be the absolute best that it can be, way beyond Shane Barnett being superintendent. And I'll tell you, when I'm a grandfather, and I hope if my kids are watching this, I hope it's a while. And when I'm a grandfather and my kids are going to Coleman County schools, I will probably be still active. I want the best school system for my kids and for the people that I still care about that we could have. And so we need to be active. We need to be involved in our school system. And so we need our board members to do the absolute best and hire the best person they can for that job. Go ahead.
What steps need to be taken to change the school board meeting from 3:30 back to 6 o'clock where more people can come to it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Here's the funny thing. We've had better attendance at 3:30 than we did at 6. I'm not opposed to moving to 6. If we had very many people just telling us they want us to go to 6, if they would come, we would do it. We started live streaming our school board meetings. We started today. It was the first day that we live streamed our school board meetings. Today's wasn't very exciting. There wasn't hardly anything on the agenda. We approved some attendance, some new hires and things like that. But there wasn't a whole lot of stuff on there. But one of the things that we were running into when we were having our board meetings at 6 o'clock, some school systems come in and have them at 7 o'clock in the morning and different times throughout the day. We changed ours a couple of years ago because we found that everybody in Coleman County is so involved. Everybody was at ball games or they were at something later in the afternoon. So we moved it up. If they want to come to it, they can come right after school and come to the board meeting. And but I don't think any of our board members, and I don't have a problem moving it later. We were just kind of experimenting. We did a thing, I guess it's been 3 or 4 years ago now, where we rotated to every school and we had a board meeting at the different schools. And that wasn't well attended either. And so we moved it to 3:30. And if we're recognizing kids, we have a bunch of people show up. If we're just doing school business, nobody shows up. But we encourage people to come. And if anybody ever wants to present at a school board meeting, all they have to do is give me something in writing, what you want to talk about, and you get 5 minutes in front of the board to talk. Outside of that, you can meet with your board members anytime. But we just try to keep it. If somebody's mad at me or mad at a principal or mad at a teacher, a school board meeting is not where they need to come and voice that out in public and things like that. So we want to protect our people that are working hard for kids, but those kind of things they need to meet with me and discuss, and we try to work on it.
Are the school board meetings going to be on CCBOE?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Today was the first one that we're going to do.
Is there some way that if you happen to be at home because you can't make it there on by 3:30, but you can just kind of dial in, so to speak? I know dial-ins told you my age.
Well, right now, we don't have a way necessarily to ask questions back and forth about it, just because it's a little more formal process. But they could send them to me, and on our website, and there's places on there that you can click and send me messages and stuff, and I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, I've got your email. It's okay.
I'll be glad to answer anything I can. And any other questions? Everybody over here, is there anything there's probably plenty of stuff, and I told them at the beginning, there's no way I could talk about everything that's going on because there's great things going on everywhere. something I'll say very quickly, and then if y'all think of something, I want y'all to share it. But one of the things that's really good is while we're still struggling getting our kids caught up where they need to be, we've made vast improvements once we got all our kids back face to face. We were blessed. We had more face-to-face instruction than most school systems in Alabama. God just blessed us. I'll just be honest with you. We took a risk by bringing kids back as soon as we could, and it worked out pretty well for us. But since the kids have come back, their achievements growing. It's just we just had a setback, so it's growing slow, but we're getting there, and I feel good about it. Any other questions for me? Guys, y'all have anything that y'all want to add or anything I didn't talk about that y'all want? All right. Well, thank y'all.
This is gonna sound like I'm.
No.
Thank you. You do such a great job.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I'll tell you, we are blessed. And I really believe, and I've shared this several times, and I know everyone doesn't share the faith that I have, but I believe that our board members right now and our administrators and our faculty and staff, I really think we have a vision of where we want to be. And I think everybody is working really, really hard to accomplish that. And I think when we're all on the same page and we want what's best for kids, I think we're seeing that we can accomplish a lot of stuff. You know, one of the things that, and I've been in this school system, this is my 27th year to be in this school system, and this is not a commercial, but I'm going to go back just a little bit to when we had an elected superintendent and we were changing every 3 or 4 years. It was really hard to have a long-term vision of where we want to be. And so now for 6.5 years, everybody's working together in the same direction, and we're reaping some of those rewards. And
Not only that, but an elected superintendent would come in and change administration and change all these people.
they very well could.
It was just a re-governance every time it started over.
Yeah, I experienced that. I know. I mean, it's different, but and I'll tell you, you know, whether you agree with, you know, I was not the first appointed superintendent. There was an appointed superintendent before me, and the board had to make some really tough decisions, but I was proud that they made those decisions because there were some decisions, good and bad, but they decided, and a lot of the community had input into our board, and they decided that was not the direction they wanted our school system to go. So they stepped in, dismissed him, and hired somebody else. If we go back to elected, that is not a possibility. It's almost impossible to get rid of an elected superintendent. And anyway, well, hey, I appreciate you all coming. I'll be around if you want to come talk to me privately about anything. And thank you all for coming. Appreciate all you do. Thank y'all.